We're gonna figure this out. Setting
I
up
got the
meeting.
notification that we're live.
Yeah, it
Okay,
says it's
cool.
doing it.
There we go. Alrighty, and then I need to grab the link. It's on the delay. Oh, well, what did I do? Okay. All right, I shut that down so we're not echoing. It is live. Okay, I'm going to put that here. Here we go. And then let me get it on Facebook and then we can get started. Yay, exciting. All right. Ooh. All right. Hello, everybody. It is I, the co-founder and script keeper of the Not Ready for Quarantine Players, and we are here with our first ever custom content, original content, Queer Stories. So it's going to be very similar to something like The Moth, where there's stories or original things that have happened here, and coming at you and live and doing it. So I am your hostess this time around, Ginger Chase, and I am here with 5 of our players. I'm super excited to hear their stories and share all this information with you. And we are here for Danny. Danny's having surgery coming up, and anytime anybody has any surgery, there's only so much the insurance covers. So we're here to kind of help supplement that. Um, we are accepting donations on Danny's Cash App. So go ahead and get that donation going. Any little bit will help us. And let's get this going. So I thought I would start us out because this is also our 3rd anniversary of Not Ready for Quarantine Players. So we all the way back to when we did Clue the first time around. And all of the productions through. And I thought as I introduced everybody that we would kind of go around and give the favorite role that we've ever played and the favorite role that we have seen others play. Since I'm already talking, I was thinking hard about like my favorite role. And I feel like it was a toss up between Erica Jane from Real Housewives of Beverly Hillbillies or Hillbillies, Beverly Hills. We should make that mashup someday, and it would be amazing. A whole script is going through my brain right now. But Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and then also when I played Weezer in Steel Magnolias against my spouse being Clary from I feel like that combination was just magic that you can't bottle. Because we really are Weezer and Clary that got married somehow. Just how it happened. But why don't we start with Luke?
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. North and South America and all you ships at sea. Let's go to press. I'm Luke Seckington. This is my host, a map of India. Happy to be here for my favorite role. It kind of depends on what day of the week it is, but I'd have to say Dewey from Scream. That was just a blast. My favorite role that I saw someone else play, he's not with us today, but John Yankee as Tommy in The Room, or Johnny, whatever his weird self-insert character is named. That was chef kiss.
Love it. Narcissist I am, I forgot the second half of my own question. But yes, Johnny Yankee is one of them. And I have to give an honorable mention to Michelle doing the narration on The Room, because that in itself was a character and it was freaking amazing. And then my third option, because I'm just breaking my own rules, was Brianna Cardoza playing Fezzik. I thought that was just so amazing, kind of unexpected from her, but so good. So let's move on to on my other side here, I've got Sean.
Hey y'all. So yeah, Sean Watson, pronouns he or they, coming you not from Missouri or St. Louis, but in New York. My favorite, and this is such a hard question, but I'm gonna have to go with Trinity from the Matrix. That role was just so fun to play, from being able to kind of fully encapsulate a character. And that was probably one of my first where I got really did like the costuming for it, loved it so much, down to really poorly timed typing in mute Fias into the chat right before, like, I was supposed to be really serious and professing my love. um Favorite parts from other folks, again, Jonathan from The Room. I feel like Danny from the many dense narrations that they've had to do as the first read that I was helping put the script together. Everyone in Perks of Being a Wallflower was also so powerful, so meaningful. I loved the whole team in that one. And then I have to give honorable mention to the Frasier read, which was just such a like serial and weird and fun read for us to do.
Yeah. Frasier was great. I loved doing Frasier. It was something where like you go in, like, no offense or anything, but it was like, I've only seen that show so many times. Am I really going to enjoy it? And then just being so happy. I think some of my favorite reads have been movies that I wasn't necessarily excited about, but I did it because the group wanted to do it. And then you're like, this was the best. Yeah. Let's go with Cad. You are muted, friend.
Bonk. Yep, you're right. Hi. Okay, my favorite that I did was Gomez Adams and the Adams Family, because that's just such a
Yes.
cadaver-coded character. Obviously that was super exciting to do. Favorites that other people did, obviously Johnny is Johnny, The Room. Too good. Doesn't get better than that. And
Yeah.
Danny kind of carrying Perks of Being a Wallflower really got me.
Yes.
I remember crying during that one. I remember coming downstairs after and looking at my boyfriend and being like, I forgot what happened in that. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing, just being so surprised at like the depth that that y'all can do at times, because we're all in our little screens in our little homes and stuff, and like sometimes there's been some fucking magic that has happened. And yes. Since we were talking about Danny, why don't we go with Danny next?
I've been sitting here and you are all just reminding me of other things. So I now have a ton that I was trying to run through. For myself, I think I narrating a lot of them, I don't have a lot of like roles. I liked being Charlie in Perks of Being a Wallflower. That was just like it was very cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always tell people Perks is the movie that if you walk in and that's what I'm watching, like that's whenever you send for help. And then I am torn between Harry and When Harry Met Sally and playing what's his name? Milton in Office Space.
Oh yes.
If purely for the look on
The
Kelsey's
fire.
face, like it was just golden, and it's one of those moments that I just will never ever have again.
That was
As far as
awesome.
others, I will keep it with Kelsey, and Elf, I believe, is the one that I was excited
Yes.
about. And Pad as Gomez, top notch for me. I had to keep like muting because I was laughing. It was so much fun.
Yeah. As somebody that like, because I always come in from the beginning and I'm like, I'll start in my brain of who I think people should be. And sometimes I'll hit it right on the nose. Like, to me, there was nobody else that could be Buddy the Elf than Kelsey. There was nobody else that could be Gomez than Cad. But then sometimes people will come in themselves and be like, can I be this role? And I wouldn't necessarily put them in that role, but like kind of like Brianna in as Fezzik. I would not necessarily put Brianna as Fezzik, but was amazing. And that's another thing that I love about doing this, for sure. Absolutely. And why don't we go with Miss Kelsey?
Well, just like Danny said, like everybody saying their favorite stuff just reminds me of all the awesome fun we've had, but also all the awesome characters that we've all really embodied. My favorite ones, I mean, anything Luke does. Luke, you just
Yeah.
have this way of, I mean, the deadpan. Just, I mean, I can't do deadpan because I'm just a human giggle. So, like, I love it. And of course, Yankee in the room. Yankee in the, I mean, that's who I grew up with, y'all. Like, that's exactly who that person is. And I love him. My favorites of myself, Buddy the Elf. I just had a great time. Um, and I really let the giggle come out. And then Dr. Penderschloss
Yes.
from Adam's Family. I had such a great time having any kind of accent with that. And just like anytime I was like, this doesn't sound the same as it did before, I was like, you know what? It's camp. It's fine. It's fine. So those are mine.
I do enjoy accents mostly because I can't do them whatsoever. So
Who
Don't
too
do
is
them.
like that?
In and out. It's whatever.
it's the pure chaos for me. Anytime we all have to sing a song at the same time, I love it. It's always amazingly, breathtakingly awesome. And another role I forgot about that I fucking loved was Luke as PK in Beverly Hills Housewives, because you were like, I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want, and then you end up being the most PK that you could have ever possibly been, because that person is such a character in themselves. I feel like that happens a lot with Luke. Like they're like, I'm just gonna go in. Yay, that's Gus, right? Yeah. I was like trying to remember because they look so similar that I'm always like, which dog is that? Because Raz has made so many appearances, and I always have a special place in my heart when I see Raz.
You just check for the tails.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did that. So, but I think now that we've done introductions and y'all have been so wonderful and amazing, we can start going into our reads, our scripts, our little tiny monologues. So we're going to start out with our wonderfully amazing Gomez Adams cadaver. I do want to give a trigger warning on this read. There will be a short depiction of a transphobic assault. So if you need to check out for just a smidge, please come back to us and go ahead and take it away.
You're muted, buddy.
It's fine. I wasn't reading it yet. No, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer. I haven't done any like real creative writing since I was in high school. So I'm a little nervous about this. It's a little rusty, but
whatever it is, it's gonna be awesome.
thanks.
Period.
It's called The Best Gay Driver in St. Louis. I am the best gay driver in St. Louis. It's not hard to do, like at all. If you've been here, then you know that it's not really difficult to be the best driver, gay or otherwise, at any point in time in a city where speed limits are more loose suggestions, stop signs are optional, motorists weave through barely painted lines like it's Mario Kart, and no one ever taught the damn county drivers how to parallel park. Globally, I suppose I'm not a particularly good gay or a particularly good driver. Overdue oil changes sit on the back burner with massive plans to host parties and provide resources and fix hearts on an enormous universal scale through the power of queer perseverance, as if the 5-minute drive from home to work and back again twice a day, every day, isn't already an unbearable burden. It's hard as a trans man to be a good driver, when I never learned how to change my wipers or what tire pressure I need, or when the guy at CarX is ripping me off on the price of my brakes. And it's hard as someone from St. Louis to be a good gay when I only have so much time and so many resources and so much gas in my tank to take the gays who drive much worse than me somewhere far the fuck away from here. Funny enough, my ex-roommate is the worst gay driver in St. Louis. Or she used to be, until her catalytic converter was stolen overnight and she decided it was easier to pawn the shitty sedan for beer money and a skateboard than it was to fix it. It's much harder to be the worst gay driver in St. Louis, especially when the competition is so strong. She's always been a better gay than me, loudly and unapologetically transgender in public, a social butterfly, the first person to offer up whatever she had to anyone else, especially if it meant someone suddenly living on our couch for a month. So when she was promoted from worst gay driver to best gay pedestrian, it became my duty to chauffeur her to the thrift store and to DJ gigs and to house parties, because what would they be without her? I was almost kind of jealous in a way. While the fear of feeling theory filtering through my fingers anxiously bound me to the stupid articles beamed to my phone, and the need for anyone to get anywhere ever kept me chained to the ignition switch of my little Camry, I imagined her skipping to work and smelling the flowers on the way, gaily greeting her friends and neighbors while birds chirped and dogs barked and the sun beamed down. During winter rush hours, even sitting idly on the bus, staring at falling snow out the window and reading a cute little lesbian book an internet friend recommended, sounded better than navigating slow motion crashes and bumper to bumper traffic on 64. This is obviously not how being a pedestrian in St. Louis works. Again, if you've ever been here, bad drivers and shitty infrastructure make getting anywhere without a car an absolute nightmare. Bike lanes are virtually non-existent. People walking are met with outright hostility, and public transportation is kind of bare bones. Even the best pedestrian is no match for a distracted driver dodging a constellation of potholes. For walkers and drivers, St. Louis is kind of the worst. But in April, when I was driving home from work with the windows down, enjoying the feeling of winter's frost shaking off, she was taking the metro to work. While she was being the best gay pedestrian, a passenger approached her, pulled out a gun, and attacked her on the bus in broad daylight. A friend who is a good gay and an okay driver picked her up from the bus stop and brought her home. She was bruised and shaken, but alive and moving and talking and telling us the story. And we all cursed that we couldn't have been there being better gays on the bus, standing up and defending her, or being better drivers, keeping her out of harm's way to begin with. Could anyone have done anything? We were all kind of at the mercy of the worst drivers, the worst straights, and the worst passengers in a world that's been built for them. And as we paused and thought about it, she started laughing and dug her hands deep into her purse and pulled out a dirty plastic bag tied into a tight knot at the end. He dropped his weed, though, she giggled, and we left, and we canceled our plans for the weekend, and we smoked, and we laughed some more. I offered to drive her home, but she smiled and declined. She didn't need the best gay driver in St. Louis. A friend was enough. And while I drove myself home alone in standstill rush hour traffic, listening to the horns honking and public radio droning, I thought about how maybe I didn't have to be the best, but it'd be kind of nice if everyone tried a little harder to not be the worst. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
That was amazing. It was not amazing what happened, but that was amazing what you gave us today. And I appreciate you so much. And thank you so much. That was great. Moving on to our next person. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I realized that how often we've come to rely on this person. And I was like, honestly, I feel like from time to time we should kind of spotlight people that are so willing to give to this little troop that we have and do so much. And this person gives so much to us. They've been in pretty much every production that we've been in. We were trying to figure that out before the show started today. I think I'm the only one that has been in all but one, but they're right behind me. They take the time to do this. They take the time away from their own children to basically be our dad. And I think every single one of us is made better by this person being in our lives. And so I definitely want to give a special shout out to our next person and introduce our lovely dad, Sean Watson.
And as a proud dad, might I say that I am better because of you all as well. So I will reflect that love right back. So my piece today is part one, is one of Pryor's from Angels in America, one of his monologues. The great work begins in part one, Millennium Approaches. And then I had kind of combined it with a poem I've been working on around queer ways of knowing, and they flowed together. And so part one, more script read, part two, more original work. The great work begins. The great work begins. I'm not talking about the work of the world. And we are its small, stupid cogs. We turn and turn and turn and never know why. We are born, we live, we die, and in between we work. We work, we work to make money. We work to have children. We work to be happy, but we are never happy. We are always searching for something more. We are always looking for the meaning of life, but the meaning of life is not something that can be found. The meaning of life is something that must be created with our own hands, with our own hearts. The great work begins. The great work begins. It begins with us. It begins with you and me. It begins with our willingness to see the world differently. It begins with our willingness to dream. It begins with our willingness to create. The great work begins. The great work begins. And it's up to us to finish it. But we find that we are calculating the return of investment of each relationship, which has a direct correlation to the disenchantment of sparks from heart to heart in the heat of moments of intensity. Whereas the operationalization of human connection into the smallest parts to use in machinery building ever higher toward capital gains. The economic engine within the belly of each human grumbling, growling for more, ever more, always more. Insofar as the seed of human passion and potential can be reduced, coordinated with the bottom line, may it be that the 9 to 5 energy and excitement carry you through to completion. So recharge becomes code for ready to deplete. So with this, I call for our collective, our community, our expansive connection to serve us with a bulwark against mundanity, to scintillate with creativity, to forever honor the lineage of showing up and fundamentally feel the fortitude of found family. I have a dream of a world queerly.
Thank you so much, Sean. Amazing. um, so on to the next. We are already about halfway done, which is crazy. I think this is going to be a record for like the shortest one of these that we've ever done ever. So it's kind of amazing. But our next performer, I guess I should say, I've really grown to get even closer to since we've been doing the players. I mean, with everybody, I feel like I've gotten closer to, but like it's just been really special to form this relationship. She is also kind of like our second mom of the group, since we have mom, but but you know, she definitely shows her caring. You know, she did not want Milton to burn down their house and everything. So always important. And like somebody I can always come to with my issues, and they're always able to listen and provide a good a bit of advice or even just an ear. So I deeply appreciate this person, and I am very excited to hear from Miss Kelsey Davis.
So this is something that I wrote that is based on that uncertainty that happens inside us as a minority human. And it goes, from my understanding, across many minority experiences of how you don't understand if someone is nice or kind, and that niceness is an uncertainty. So this is called Nice is a Warning. Nice is a smile. Nice is a hug. Nice is an open door. Nice is neutral, or is it? Nice is a jack-in-the-box wound tight. Nice is fiction. Nice is a sheathed blade. Nice is a veiled threat. Nice is a mask. Nice is an excuse. Nice is a shield, an invention, a cover, a blanket that only seems warm and comforting. Nice is an all-access pass to do whatever they want because they're nice. Nice is a get-out-of-judgment-free card. Nice is a battering ram. Nice is a curse, coiled and waiting to pounce. A crouched predator. Nice is an internal bleed, a death sentence. Nice is a blessing spoken through gritted teeth. Nice is a danger, a promise broken as it is being created. Nice is dangerous. Nice is a mimic, a chameleon. Nice is a pin-pulled grenade in hand.
That was powerful, and definitely appreciate it. And
I would like to thank, I would like to thank Taylor Swift for her song Karma in helping me come up with the methodology of creating that.
I love it. I love that T Swift was involved because
T Swift has been my life for months now. Thanks, Melody.
As we are going through, I just want to remind everybody, we are accepting donations for Danny and their upcoming surgery. So I want to go ahead and just flash that again. I think we're going to be saying goodbye to Sean for now, but appreciate you. Love you. Bye, Dad. Bye. But yes, please, if you've got anything to spare, any little bit helps, because insurance can only take us so far, So, all right, we are on to the next. This person is amazing. For a long time, they were basically our villain in so many things. Everywhere from Mr. Smith to Santa Claus and everything in between. And I think everybody appreciates just the joy that kind of comes from the quirkiness that is Luke. So take it away, Luke. Oh, I want to give I forgot, there is a trigger warning. So there will be a brief mention of a queer slur in this next piece. If you need to check out, you need to check out, but please come back, and thank you, Luke.
Okay, well, I'm not the villain in this piece for once, so sorry to disappoint. If anyone needs to check out because of that, now's the time. Can't tell you the first time I heard the word non-binary. Without dwelling on it, I was not really raised in a household where that concept would have been available to me. I guess at some point in adulthood, the idea must have been presented to me, and to my shame, I probably just laughed it off. Don't know when the idea of breaking free from the prison of gender was first suggested to me. I can tell you the exact date when I began to consider it might apply to me personally. That was January 10th, 2016, the day David Bowie died. I was 25, single, living alone, working a rather unfulfilling food service job. I considered myself male. Spent every waking hour with a vague discomfort about that, though, a sense that things had never been quite right my entire life. I had long since figured out I wasn't straight, without really coming to terms with it. I was planning to stay closeted for pretty much the rest of my life. I just resigned myself to the idea that this was all there was to life and all there ever would be. Work and loneliness and a sense of quiet shame that would never go away. January day was cold and clear. I had the rare early day at work and so headed home with no particular plans. Geared up for another evening alone, a TV dinner, no companion other than Netflix. I opened my browser, went to a news site to get a vague idea of what was going on in the world before binging on some forgettable sitcom. Headline greeted me, pop star David Bowie, dead at 69. Prior to this, my general reaction to the deaths of celebrities had generally been something along the lines of, oh, gee, that's too bad. That winter day was something different, something completely unexpected. This strange sound made its way out of my throat, a sort of strangled gasp. The stomach dropped and a heavy feeling of loss descended on me. It was a feeling I had previously only associated with the death of a pet or a loved one. Childhood memory made its way back to me, looking through Dad's record collection as a teenager one Sunday afternoon after church. A fey androgynous face painted with a stylized lightning bolt looked up at me. He's good, but he's some kind of fag, my dad commented casually as I put the record on the turntable. 2016, alone in my one-bedroom apartment, I was surprised by my own grief. I had never met this man. Sure, Suffragette City was a bop, Labyrinth was a fun movie, but I wouldn't have thought of myself as a super fan. So what was this genuine sadness, this feeling of loss? I restlessly paced around for a little while longer, trying to understand why I felt this way, then decided it was too small of a space. I grabbed my coat, walked out into the cold January evening. I ignored the cold, just walking towards something I couldn't see. Eventually, after who knows how much aimless wandering, I ended up outside one of the better cocktail bars in this city. I was beginning to get a bit chilly, so I figured it'd be as good a place as any to warm up. It was a Sunday evening, not particularly crowded. I got off a small affair to the MD with the mousy hair. Had a seat at the bar, ordered myself a Negroni. I was in a Campari phase at the time. Sitting in that nearly empty bar, trying to rub some heat back into my frozen fingers, I tried to analyze exactly why I felt this way. Kept finding my mind drifting back to the album arts. David Bowie in a colorful pinstripe suit, David Bowie with knee-high leather boots, David Bowie in a flowing silk robe, a three-piece tailored suit, a leather jacket, sometimes no clothes at all. Always with this sneering disregard for the conventions of fashion or gendered clothing. I don't know if it was an intentional choice on the part of some hidden DJ or the whim of an algorithm on Pandora or Spotify or something, but Space Oddity began playing that nearly empty bar. And then suddenly, without realizing, I began to cry. Bartender, bless her, asked if I was all right. I composed myself, smiled at her. Sorry, said, I'm depressed about David Bowie. She smiled, sympathetic, but completely baffled. Got me another drink on the house, the secret weapon of bartenders everywhere who don't want to deal with your shit. And it was somewhere in there, listening to his first hit single while forcing down tears and sipping my second Negroni, that I realized exactly why I was grieving. It wasn't necessarily for the man himself. I had heard about the various scandals surrounding him, and his behavior was not something I could condone. I wasn't grieving David Bowie himself. I was grieving what David Bowie had represented to me. First exposure I had to a queer person. Some kind of fag, as my father put it. Some kind of fag like me. Every queer person feels a little bit of panic when they realize just what they are. All of us at one point or another wondered if we were completely alone, some sort of cosmic mistake. And then we see someone like us, someone living outside the expectations of cishet society. Someone who reminds us that we are never alone. We are part of a vibrant, loving community. Someone who reminds us that no, we are not and never were a mistake. Someone queer. Someone who gives us permission to exist. And somehow, in some way, that grief I felt for a British pop star was affirming. I was mourning someone who had unwittingly handed me the key to the closet door. Everything didn't crystallize in an instant, of course. You don't undo years of enforced self-hatred over a single cocktail. That singular moment, trying not to cry while listening to Space Oddity in a quiet, nearly empty bar, that was the start of a journey for me. Journey of self-awareness, of self-acceptance. Over time, I came to terms with my sexual identity, and then with a bit more introspection, I've come to satisfy myself that I'm unencumbered by the terrible burden that is gender. Took some doing, but I can stand before you today and say that I am bisexual, non-binary, and proud of that fact. Personally and professionally, I'm doing worlds better now. I'm in a long-term relationship with a man with whom I very much love. I'm the happy queer person that the media tells you does not exist. There were others who made me feel I've been given permission to exist. Most of them are people I'm lucky to count among my friends. They are, in all honesty, much better people than David Bowie. But the first steps I took away from that colorless, depressed existence happened on January 10th, 2016. The stars look very different today.
That was amazing. And so relatable, honestly. Like as problematic as Dan Savage can be, I think you touched on a point that they like to make all the time of like people don't want to portray us as having joy, because then that makes it more okay or something along those lines. And I think that's just so powerful to be able to like show those moments of joy and, that we aren't all these just tragic human beings just trying to make it through the world. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was amazing. All right, we are to our last performer, our last player of the day. They are sandwiched between two adorable dogs, and we love them, and we love their partner, and all of the great things that they've been experiencing as of late. And we're so excited about this next step in their future here. And I'm going to share the little Cash App one more time. Again, if anybody, got some money to spare, please consider donating towards the surgery. And they are our fearless narrator because I know how hard narrating is. I've only done it twice, and it took over a year between being willing to narrate because I am somebody that strips and over their words, just like I did just now. And so anybody that can narrate and be that perfect palette for everybody else's colors is an amazing person. And I hope they know that every time they, come in and help us, I deeply appreciate them. But let's hear it for Danny Wilson.
Let's see. I don't know. Everyone had like actual good introductions to their pieces. So um what I sat down and kind of wrote was an essay about the space between someone who is legitimately an ally and legitimately being there for you, and then between that and the like hate crime awful stuff, that there's a weird space between that I feel like we don't really acknowledge because there are people who would rather see a polarized version of it. But for me, a lot of my problems, or a lot of like the things that I've struggled with about both my identity and getting just kind of moving throughout the world, has lived kind of in that space. Um, I don't know. I think it's a cool follow up to Kelsey's piece. Now that she has read it. But yeah, so this is called Almost. I am a queer, transgender, and polyamorous human. There are so many experiences that make living in my identity beautiful, but very many that make it indescribably difficult to move throughout the world. If you're paying attention, I'm sure you can see the visual aids that I've definitely prepared to illustrate my point. If not, rest assured, none of them are there. Go check the news. For me, life has been an absolute roller coaster of identity shifts, relationship shifts, and emotional shifts. And sometimes I feel like I've landed smack in the middle of a storm when I look at all of the things happening to people in my shoes. For me, the middle ground has become a bit of a cursed property. It's littered with this word that just threatens to drive me into the ground sometimes. Almost. Sometimes the scariest and most disappointing things live in that world with that label. Almost. You almost accept me. You tell me you love me no matter what, but you shrink away when it's time to celebrate or accept reality about my identity or my transition. You make a point to be nice to me, keep me included in things, but I've never heard you gender me correctly. You've done very nice things for me and shown support when I needed it, but I'm still getting bright pink and very mislabeled cards for girls at every holiday. You almost consider me one of you. You tell me I'm attractive, but that I won't be once I start HRT. You continue calling yourself a lesbian while I stand next to you as your partner. You let me on your dating sites and then send me messages asking who butchered me. You ask me on a date, and then I see fetishizing remarks and making fun of trans men all over your social media. You're almost present. You listen to my concerns, fears, and boundaries, but you won't accept my truth when it goes against your opinions. You say you'll be there for me, but you shy away from any topic you don't really want to hear about. You want me to continue to be part of your lives and do a good job making me feel included until I actually want to sit at the table with you. You almost know what to do with me at the doctor, in the hospital, in your everyday life, but I just don't fit. Being in this body, living out my identity, comes with a very precise set of scary and damaging circumstances. Looking in the mirror can either make me crazy or warm my heart. Sometimes it feels like I don't really fit anywhere. And so much of it is within that word, almost. And that word almost wrecked me. And that word has saved me. I was almost too scared to make moves toward girls in my transition. I was almost ready to let myself go. And that almost made it possible to sneak in and live in spite of all the mess. Almost can hurt so much, but it gives us room to breathe and grow. And now it's just a little bit easier. And I learn more every day about living into the almost.
It was amazing. And I appreciate everybody sharing a little piece of you with the, everybody else. And hopefully that will, somebody watching that maybe has been feeling like some of these instances, like Luke or like Danny, or even like, Kelsey and Kat, like can really, know that you're not alone. And, we're here. And, if you ever feel the need to express yourself, with script reads or anything like that, reach out to us. We're always looking for more players, more friends, more people that we can associate with and appreciate each other and support. So yeah, we've got kitties and we got puppies, and it's so exciting. I love it. But I just want to thank everybody that is tuned in today. I will thank you even more if you are able to give us a little bit of a donation for Danny. And thanks for tuning in all these years. And hopefully we will be back with another script. We're thinking maybe Pride time, so maybe in the next month or two, we'll see how it goes. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.